Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Have you ever wondered how to live a purpose driven life? We got a great show for you. Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Brian Morris, and as always, I'm here with your host, Nicholas T. Smith, the author of The Giants and the Smalls, the best book in the whole wide world. Hey,
Only always.
only always. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to YouTube, go ahead and join us at Wake Up with Giants TV on YouTube. Just subscribe and then hit the alert button so that you know when we do come live because it's fun.
Ryan,
And
can you
then-
read the ticker on the bottom?
Tick, tick, clickety clack, clickaroony.
That's what you do with the subscribe button.
Click, click,
Click, click,
clickety click,
clickety
click.
click, clickety clack, clickaroony.
Do
Just
that.
smash that thing.
Yeah. And
Bam.
then, yeah, she did right now. And then go join us on Facebook. We have a Tribe of Giants. It's a Facebook group, a Tribe of Giants. And watch for any events that we have going on. I'm sure we have a Sum Gigante course coming up because that's what we do. Right, Nick?
Sometimes
Ain't nothing to it.
ain't nothing to it but to do it. Dun, 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 dun.
Today's show is going to be pretty exciting because one, we've all had caffeine,
Yeah.
and two, I don't know that Carrie needs caffeine, but she's doing it anyway.
It has the opposite effect. It like calms
She's-
her down. Yeah.
I do.
We've got the Energizer Bunny on with us today, and Nick, will you introduce our guest?
Absolutely. Yeah. Carrie Tolmich. Certified. Michael
He's
I'm so
Tyson
yes,
is
certified.
reading
Famously
this.
certified.
Yeah, we got Mike Tyson reading the prompter here. So she's a certified theta healer. See, that's hard. Reiki
Certified
master
theta-
and
theta
reconnection
healer-
practitioner.
Yes.
Certified theta healer. I just lost it. But she's a gifted energy healer and medical intuitive. She specializes in soul connections and mind over body medicine, and she can help you with connecting to who you truly are and how you can be authentic to yourself and be your authentic self. So be happy, be healthy, and to live a purpose-driven life. So Carrie helps you figure out what your heart and soul are trying to tell your mind. And I was reading through your background a little bit, and you had an interesting start to life, a bit of a challenge, I would say. And so as we dive into this, first, I want to welcome you to the show. So welcome to the show. And
Thank you.
go
I am
into those.
so happy to be here. I love you guys, and you guys helped me so much.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
We
you've
feel
been
the
a
same
part
way
of some
about
of
you.
the programs. Yeah, we do. Well, I do. Ryan does. He just said he
Mostly.
does. Yeah.
We'll say yes.
No, I mean your history it was a little rough. Are you good if we dive into your story and
Oh,
kind of
sure.
venture through? And
Sure.
can you start? What was life like growing up for you?
Well, it was interesting. We wasn't the Jones next door for sure. Most of the neighbors next door had a 9-to-5 job, and there was families that had abuse, but my family was a little bit different. My dad was a traveling salesman and a professional wrestler. So in a way, that was really great because my dad showed me I could do anything I wanted to do, no matter how much society, it fit into society roles. So I really am grateful for that. But so my dad was a ticking time bomb. I mean, you never knew when you came down in the morning or when you went to bed at night or when you came home from school, was he going to love you? Was he going to beat you? I mean, how bad was the beatings going to get? And it was just traumatic. I mean, my life thing was, if you just beat me all the time and let me know you don't like me or I don't fit in, I could deal with that. Or if you love me all the time, let me know I fit in, I could deal with that. But when it was so chaotic, you didn't know what to expect.
So you don't know, you don't know if you're loved or hated.
Right.
You don't know if it's going to be hugs or hits.
Right. But
Yeah.
out of everything that happened in my life, the thing that was the hardest for me to deal with. And we all see things different, but mine was that love meant pain. And love is suffering, and love is cruelty, and it's just horrible. And so it wasn't just that I was treated bad. My dad loved us more than anybody, and so to me it's like that's what love is.
Yeah, interesting, right? So you have a definition of love that involves pain and suffering and hurt, right?
Right. And then the other thing to it was, there was so much abandonment because, my dad left all the time, and my mom was so terrified of my dad. And so there was a lot of abandonment. And, I didn't know as a child. I know now, but, when I was little, I came long after the family. I was like the extra caboose at the end of the train. And so to me, my mom, at that point, she was tired of my dad taking all the kids, and we traveled around the whole country doing the wrestling and the salesman and all that type of thing. And at that point, my dad, when I came along, my mom told my dad, there's no more taking Carrie along. I want her to have a normal life. I don't want her to be like the other kids. So I was given off to any neighbors that would take me. And so I was always abandoned and left with the neighbors. Well, you can see that I'm not really calm, and I don't take things real quietly. So I made an ass of myself. I was mean as I could be. I was like a Coke bottle shaken up. So none of the neighbors wanted to take me. so nobody wanted to have to take Carrie. It's like, oh God, whose turn is it?
Like Carrie Tillman, a bottle of Coke with some Mentos.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So it was really just interesting that, the abuse was one thing. I could deal with the abuse. I could handle anybody beating me up. That's not even an issue. It's the mental aspect of it. And that's what got me to where I'm at in my life is, all the, like my mom, I was more angry with my mom, not my dad beating me, because my mom is the one that was supposed to save me. She gave me life. She's supposed to save me, but she wasn't able to do that.
I think about this. We were just down in Southern Utah teaching these students, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like you see some of these kids. We had a young Black girl that Brian gave a book to, and she was crying the whole time we were there. And we don't know the story behind what was going on in her world or her life. But the principal shared that there was another student who spoke up in the class, and Ryan gave her a book as well. She's got dyslexia, living homeless in her life, but at school, you'd never know. Nobody knows the backstory. So as kids, you're creating this version of the world and how it works, and you're trying to figure it out, and it's unstable. And I can imagine how that would have impacted you growing up, that you've got to put on this hard shell on the outside just to survive it. And on the inside, there's this emptiness, this sadness, this fear, this trauma, all these things. And I think this is important that, as we share the journeys, is that everybody has a different start point. It doesn't matter where you start. The realization is that you can become a giant from wherever you are.
Right.
But I want to know, as we go through your journey here, how did that impact you? And how did you start to look at yourself through these experiences? What did you think of you?
Well, like I says, when I experienced anger, we all handle things different of what we go through and what we deal with it. And so my dad, there was so much anger that when my mom and dad would leave, I had a brother that's huge. My brother's like 6'6", 6'8", and he's huge. So when my mom and dad would leave, my brother and my one sister that was still at home, they would beat on me. And so it was like a domino effect. So when I'd leave the house, I'd go beat the hell out of the neighbor boys. It's like, oh God, here comes Carrie. But it's like that's how I chose to deal with everything, because as long as I can remember, even at 2, 3 years old, I was in survival mode. It's like my mom was like, my dad would yell and she'd be gone. And so they'd be out of the house. And so I've been raising and taking care of myself just so I could even eat, If I was having nightmares, my mom wasn't allowed to come in. And so I took that anger out on the next person and the next person. And, and then I'd go to school and I'd get the hell beat out of me by the 7th and 8th graders when I was in 3rd and 4th grade, because, you get what you're putting out, and I was putting out anger, and that's what I was getting.
Man. Yeah. Such a crazy way of living. It's like, what do you do with that? So if somebody's in that situation, let's maybe bring it into that. Like, what would you share with them if that's your background and you're in that right now? How can they turn that around? A lot of this we might use even as we teach kids, because we have this oppositional defiance disorder that the principal told us that's a big issue in schools right now, is where there's just, anytime there's authority, there's this conflict because I'm not going to deal with that.
Right.
So maybe somebody's going through this right now, or they've gone through this. What would you share with them?
So first of all, like you says, we don't know what's going on in somebody else's home, inside their home. We don't know adults, kids, anybody you come across. You don't know what's going on. Don't assume that you know what's going on with them. And everybody reacts to everything different. But from all my studies and all my experiences, I do know that, like one story that I tell people a lot is there was this kid that was like 9th or 10th grade. And he finally realized and was coming out that he was gay. And as soon as he did, well, of course, he started getting beat up at school all the time. Well, as soon as you start getting beat up at school, you start feeling less than. You drop your head, you slump your shoulders over. I mean, you feel less than. And so these bullies, that's what they pick up on, is you're feeling less than. And that makes them, because maybe they've had crap at their house too. And so they take that on themselves, and then they start beating on you. Because if you let what's happening in your life define who you are, you start feeling less than, you start feeling angry, you start feeling hurt, and people start taking advantage of it. And so if you can take that inside and say, okay, I love me, find out what is good about you, find out what you have to offer the world, find out, I don't care if they're 6 years old or 8 years old, it doesn't matter. You need to find out who you are and what value you have to you and the world. You came here for a special reason. God, the universe, whatever you want to call your higher self, this higher power, something brought you here because you have a value and a purpose to be here. And so if people are beating on you or whatever, you need to find that value in yourself, and it'll stop the pattern.
How do you do that? How do you get into that, Carrie? How do you find out, because when you're in that space,
right?
At least, I'm talking from me being, last year finding some of this is, I didn't know, I didn't know where to go or how to do it. Some of it came through people like you,
right,
who reached out. What do you suggest? I mean, when somebody's in it, that sometimes they can't see it.
Right. First of all, I try to tell people to reach out to somebody, and somebody, that you can trust, and somebody that's actually helping you, because a lot of people say they want to help you, and it's in their own way of, and it might not be healthy to you. But some of the things I tell people is I want you to write a list of 50 things. I want you to find what you like about life itself, what you feel good about. And then I have you write a list of 50 things about you. What do you like about you? It seems like such a simple exercise. And people that come to get food detoxes go home with exercises. I don't care who you are. You're getting some homework.
I can attest to that homework.
When you're walking down the street and you're not looking happy, I'm going to give you a hug and probably give you some exercises.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, I really ask people to go inside and find out what makes you tick, what makes you valuable, what is good about you that you have to offer people. My whole life, all I ever heard of, for 57 years, the thing that everybody bashed me about was, you're too sensitive. You're too sensitive. Well, you know what? I am a sensitive. And I beat myself with that, because it's like, you know what? I am too sensitive. When I go to the doctors or the dentist, they can't give me medicine because I'm too sensitive. I absorb all the medicine. And so when I realized, oh my God, that's a blessing. That thing I thought was a curse is a blessing. So if people can just look inside at what that is that they think is their curse and see the blessing in it. I honestly think everything in our life happens for a purpose. I think everything's divine timing. I don't think anything's an accident. Yeah, some really crappy stuff happens. I will give you that. Trust me, I've been there. But if you can look at each value of each thing as a miracle that this was there to teach you something today, then you can start looking at seeing things a little bit better.
Let me ask you this. So if somebody doesn't go through that or hasn't gone through that, and they're interacting with somebody who has or is going through this, how can the person who has not create some sort of compassion or empathy or understanding of the person they're interacting with? I mean, you're on one side where you're fully in it, you've experienced it. Maybe there's somebody who hasn't. Do you
Right.
have any suggestions for them?
Well, my first thing is compassion for your human being, for our human people around us. My thing that has helped me more than anything, because trust me, I've been an angry person, and I've been in an angry existence, and I had a hard time being nice to anybody. My thing is, I started looking at everybody as their God self. It's like I would see somebody, and trust me, people piss me off sometimes. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
But
I'm really pissed, but I see you as your God self.
God bless you.
and right now you're gonna see God.
You know what?
You're about to meet him.
Oh man, like
And
to
some
turn that
people I
around.
tell, you know what? I'm gonna take you to God. I'm gonna bring you back and kill you again. But you know, but seriously, if you can look at other people as you,
Yeah.
or you can look at other people as a form of God, and look at the compassion of these other people. And when somebody, especially when I see things different. When people's being mean to me and people are just being horrible, I'm like, oh, it's like a puppy dog. He's lost. How can I be kind enough to make him see how he could see the light in himself? I mean, sometimes it just takes a smile.
Have you read the book, The Gentle Art of Blessing?
I don't think I have.
That's good. It's around those lines. Is instead of cursing somebody, you bless them. And
Oh.
like when I'm driving my car and I get road rage, which it happens, instead of saying "f you," I start saying "bless you."
Yep.
Like
Yep.
it's but it turns things around energetically just
Yes.
like that. It's like that person's not a terrible human.
Right.
And neither am I. So if we can start finding that the ways that we're similar and that they have complex lives, Ryan and I talked about sondering.
Yes.
They have complex lives just like we have complex lives. What comes up as you hear that?
Yeah, I totally, everything to me is the feelings and the emotions of something. Looking at taking that minute and just thinking about it and just let it soak in and how it feels. And it's like when you see somebody and you don't know what their crap is, you don't know what they're going through at home. If you can just sit and soak it in and just think, you know what, this person is either super quiet, like especially kids, if they're sitting there just super quiet, things are not cool. Something's going on.
Yeah.
So if you just really, we're so busy being in our heads and being in our BS,
Yeah.
If you can just be compassionate with human beings, human beings are messed up things, So if you can just look at people and pay attention, get out of your head and pay attention to how somebody else is being. If they're being really quiet and just sitting back, maybe they just need some compassion from you. Maybe they need you to leave them alone for a minute. Maybe they just need you to go give them a hug or a handshake or just say, hey, I see that you're hurting. How can I help?
Yeah. So I'm curious now, like what led to this, what you're doing right now? Was there a moment that it was just like this aha and an awakening, or did it gradually evolve into this? What was it like for you to reach? Okay. Yeah, go into it.
Okay, so since I was my entire life, I can remember back at 4 or 5 years old, the one thought that was in my head that I've had most of my life is I kept asking my mom and dad, I'm like, I don't get why I'm in this body. How did I get from there into this body? Who put me here and why? I just want to know. And, I always got well, when a mom and a dad love each other. No! What?
La 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 la. Me and Nick do the same thing.
Right?
No.
For the love of God, I don't care about that. I'm 5 years old. All I want to know is
I'd
how did
rather have
I.
you hit me. Like,
I can all I can think of is like, "Duh."
Yeah, hit me, knock that thought out of my head. Stop telling me this crap. I want to know how I got in here. That's all that wanted to make sense to me. And so my whole life has been just searching and struggling, trying to figure out who I am. Why am I in here? What is my purpose? And, when I was in first grade, my dearest best friend of my entire life, we used to go ghost hunting in kindergarten and first grade. Who does that?
My daughter, my 9-year-old does. I love it. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so good. So yeah, give her strength on that. Let her build her up on that.
Yeah.
But so I used to see spirits. I used to feel spirits. I used to know when they was around. So it's like that was normal to me. I didn't know it was not normal. And so I always had this feeling in me. And until recently, thank you, Nick, I've accepted that that's just me. That was part of my gift and why I'm here. I didn't understand.
In the next episode, follow
Did you
us
see
next
that, Carrie?
time
I'm
as
sorry.
Carrie describes the birds and the bees. And
Yeah. Don't ask me. You don't want to hear that.
no,
Sorry, go. Sorry,
do you
guys,
remember
take
where
us
you
off
left
track.
off? We'll bring it back.
Yeah. So anyway, I just always had this feeling inside me that was just driving me that so my home life was very abusive and it was very shaky and scary, but I had a grandma and grandpa, and my grandpa to me was the other half of my soul. I mean, he was the one man in my life. I mean, my grandpa will always be that one man in my life. And my grandpa was like the most religious man, but he never beat me with that because he knew that religion wasn't my thing. It was the spirituality, and he fed that. And so my grandma and grandpa was my safe place, but I could never be safe because my mom and dad, or my dad, would use that against me. If you're not a good girl, you can't see your grandpa. Okay, well, I'll just run away from home. So my whole life, I was just craving this feeling of, I had this feeling inside me that I knew there was something special about me, that God had this purpose just for me, that I was supposed to help people. I just didn't know how. I didn't know what that meant, but it was so strong that it was like a burning fire inside me. And when I was 13, all my friends, well, maybe even 12 or 11, all my friends were out playing outside and running up and down the street, and I found this incredible thing of James Van Prague, and he was before Sylvia Brown, and he was doing psychic reading, and I'm like, oh my God, that's my thing. I'm like, how do I do that? And so he really gave me the drive that I knew that's what I wanted to do, but there was more to it. I needed to help people. I needed to heal people. I needed to help people to be healed. And I'm sure that's why I was given my my tests that I had, was because that made me stronger and want to teach other people too.
Yeah.
So I grew up with this drive of wanting to know why I was in this stupid body, and that this other purpose that I had, that God put me here for a reason. And then when one of my biggest beliefs is I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe there's divine timing in everything, and I don't believe anything happens without synchronicity of a perfect reason to show you what's going on. Well, I've been in 5 car accidents. None of them were my fault, so don't dodge traffic when I come around you.
I knew it. That's the evidence I needed right there.
And I'm not driving with you.
That's a wrap.
You see the stickers on my car. So it's
We're
free
taking the
to go.
bus wherever we go.
Yeah.
Oh God, there's Carrie. She's in town.
Oh no. Carrie's driving the bus. Now what? Yeah.
And I'm an Uber driver and Lyft driver, so there's that.
Lucky people.
Get in, we're going for a ride.
Oh man.
So anyway, I got in my first car accident when I was 24. I had a 9-month-old baby at home, and I had a 3-year-old, and I got a severe car accident, and it was pretty traumatic, and I could barely even move, let alone walk, for the first 9 months. And so I had to start depending on people. And here's somebody that's never been able to trust another human being in my life. I don't know what trust is. I don't know how it feels. I don't know, you don't trust people because you don't know what they're going to do with your life, with you. And so I had to start having my 80-year-old grandma come over and help me pick up the baby because I had no strength to even pick up my baby. And so I started down this road of not being able to walk and having to start having people help me. And I don't want people to help me. I got to save myself. And so when I did that for a while, and then I got in my next car accident, the doctors told me, well, we need to go in and we need to fuse your spine, and we need
These
to
comments are killing me.
Carrie, I'm sorry, because this is like a sad, serious moment, and then
the
people are making me
comments are
laugh.
going, and I'm like laughing.
Ooh, what would it like to be in Carrie's Uber? You're gonna scream every time we're about to wreck. We're gonna have a problem.
Oh no, I have 10 ratings because everybody's like, she's got the most incredible stories, and oh my God, she's so fun to talk to. And
that I can imagine.
Watching this,
she doesn't watch the road at all, but she's got some great stories.
Fun.
If they don't see the comments, they're going to be like, these guys are sociopaths. They're laughing. This is a sad story.
We're terrible people.
I can't wait to see them afterwards.
I can see people getting into your Uber and you lock the door and it's like,
hey, I've seen that movie. I'm going to make my own movie on this one. Come on, get in.
You will never be the same.
That's right.
Oh no, you meet me, you will never be the same. Trust me.
That I know for sure.
There you go.
So grandma has to come over. Like, okay, we can all relate. Like, well, maybe we all can't, but I can relate to that needing somebody else to come in and help, being at a low point or a spot where you can't do it for yourself, and then having somebody else come in. So keep going with your story, because that's interesting. So 90-year-old grandma comes in to help with the baby.
Yeah, grandma just fell off the roof because she's fixing the roof, right? So grandma has her arm in a sling, and she's come over, and I've got one arm and she's got one arm. We're picking the baby up out of the crib so we can put her on the table so we can both change her, right? So I had to start learning to let people into my life and start trusting people just a little bit, not very much, just a little bit. And so by the time my kids started getting teenagers is when, at my house, when you start getting through maturity, about 13, 14, you start having your period or whatever. That's when my dad really started abusing us, because now you're bringing the boys around, and dad, oh my gosh, the names he'd call us, you're a slut, you're a whore, and everything, every time that, he'd see you. So now here my kids become that age. And oh my God, it's like my life just completely crumbled. I got in a couple more car accidents, and I really thought that I was dying. I mean, all my organs started shutting down because of all the medicines they had me on. And they told me, when I first got in that accident, they says, we can fix your back, but if we do, there's 50-50 chance you'll be paralyzed and in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. And I'm like, well, I know what pain feels like, so I'll take the pain option. I'm not having the surgery because I need to take care of my kids. And so move forward back to when my kids started being mature, I got in another car accident, and I really couldn't get around. I mean, I was dragging my leg and picking my other leg up and holding the wall and trying to scoot down the hall just so I could walk. And trust me, I know what it feels like to be in those Walmart electric chairs. They suck.
Yeah. They're not fast enough.
But now I would get them just for fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure you would.
I think, Steve Hardison put Steve Triple F Hardison. Carrie brings one more F. Fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I've always got an F. You don't want to put me on speakerphone.
we need a shirt that says Triple F on it.
Yes.
Yeah. And only we'll know what it is.
Right. So anyway, by the time that my kids got to be the age when my trauma started really bad, And that's how our body works. Is our body is just our messenger for everything that's going on in our life, our spirit, our soul. And that's when we need to start realizing, hey, don't kill the messenger. We need to heal what's going on inside. And so I got to the point where, by the time my kids were driving, it's like they was running me to the emergency room once a month, or was calling the 911 because I was having heart problems. And I mean, the medicine that was given me was shutting my body down. So now my organs weren't working. My body wasn't working. My body was turning against me.
Now you're married at this time, right? Too.
Yeah.
How is marriage inside of all of this chaos too?
So what happens typically with somebody that grows up in abuse is they marry somebody that's abusive also. And so, I was strong. It's like I got this, and I was so adamant that I will never marry anybody that abuses me. Well, what do I do? So I marry somebody that is emotionally abusive. I mean, my daily thought about myself was even worse than it was when I was at home. And it was like, I'm fat, I'm stupid, I'm ugly. And so, and here's somebody strong getting just whipped down and beat down all the time, more than I even did at home. And so my kids was, having to help me do dishes and cook dinner. I spent most of my kids' life in bed. The ex's family would come over once I got healed, and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know you was that tall. And my family, because of the religious upbringing, I mean, was extremely LDS. I mean, my dad didn't get off the couch to go to church, but he'd make us. So I had that upbringing to where, you have to be what the community tells you to be. And so here, when my kids gets to be old enough, then I start going into this deep depression, and now all my organs are shutting down. And I was going to Mayo Clinic. They were sending me all over the place trying to figure out, I become allergic to food. I was almost 5'9", and I was eating crackers and water for about a year. I was so skinny that everybody's like, well, now you're anorexic and it's all your fault. And, everything was my fault. And I'm like, no, I'm lost in here. I wish I'd just die and get it over with. And, by the time I had my my first back surgery, when I would get the kids and my husband off to work every morning, I'd go in the shower and I'd turn the water up as loud as I could. And I'd just sit and scream at God and, the 3 F's. And, it's like, who are you that you do this to me? Why don't you just end my suffering? I can't kill myself because I can't put that on my kids as burden or my sisters. Should I drive in front of a train? Should I drive off one of the cliffs up here? I mean, help me somehow end this. This is ridiculous. And so I spent about a year and a half with that. And what's funny is we redid our whole bathroom. And, I grew up in construction. So me and my husband redid the subfloors. We put new walls up. And so I knew everything was structurally sound. And I was in the shower one day doing my 3 F's to God. And all of a sudden, I heard my dad's voice, which my dad's been gone at that time about 10 years. And I heard my dad going, you little shit. And I'm like, oh, God. And right then I decided we're done. We're done feeling sorry for ourselves. We're done using this story. And, my story served me well for 30 years. It kept me strong. It kept me surviving. And then when my dad comes from the beyond and he's swearing at me, I'm like, okay, it's time. I don't even know how to use the computer, but I'm going to figure out how to use the computer. I'm going to start researching. It's time to be what I came to be. And I started sitting with God and I'm like, what is this you want me to do? I mean, who am I? I have nothing to offer anybody. I'm Carrie. And, so when I sat with that, I finally started going to healers. And as growing up in the Mormon community, I didn't know what a healer was. And I started going to healers. And this is back in the early 90s, mid 90s. And so the healers, everyone that I went to says, you're supposed to be a healer. God's wondering what's taking you so long. And so after I heard that 3 times, because that's my magic number is 3, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I need to pull my head out of my ass, grow up, and start taking responsibility for the world.
Is how you got it in there in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, do some tricky things.
It's like, damn. I didn't know that was a possibility.
It is.
Well,
there's some people inside of here too that are like, we've got Melissa Ross, who is a league member in she says that she wants to know about trust. Like, why is it so hard to trust and to let go and to be able to just allow others to help us? Like, why is that so hard for us?
You guys had something on one day, and I don't remember the exact thing, so I'm going to paraphrase. But somebody said, what is the hardest thing for you to do? And there was A, B, and C. And I think it was B said to ask somebody to help.
That was Rachel Smart. Yep.
And
She did a survey
I
of
really
trying to save the tribe.
I saundered about that.
Yeah.
And I really put some thought into it. And
with Giants TV, teaching new words daily.
Yes.
Saundering.
You've got to pay attention. Write it down.
Yeah.
So I really put some thought into it, and I looked inside, and I'm like, what is it that everybody really? Because I mean, seriously, every single person said, "I can't ask for help. I can't ask for help." And I'm like, what is it that we all share? And my thought to that is, what's our value? Most of us don't value ourselves. Most of us don't trust ourselves. Most of us can't forgive ourselves for stupid things that we did. And you know what? Them stupid things brought you to where you're at today and who you are. And so the trust and the faith thing is a big one, man, because it's like maybe we don't think we're worth the trust. Maybe we don't trust other people because of the experiences we've had. Maybe we don't value ourselves because of things that have gone on. And it doesn't have to be extreme things. It can be little things like, being adopted and feeling abandoned. I mean, that to you is huge.
Yeah.
And so it's the faith and the trust thing. And I think that goes right in line with asking for help. It's how we feel about ourselves. Can I just read one thing? I woke up the other morning and I'm like, what is the message I want to give on the Giants this morning?
The answer is no. Yeah, don't read it.
I'm going to do it just because you said no.
Yeah. Do you even know Carrie? She's going to do it anyway.
Well, Nick, sit back and listen. Yeah, go ahead.
You. Oh, and there's that respect word. Okay, so my thought that came to me the other morning at 3:00 was it all comes down to we all want to fit in. We all want to belong. We don't want to be an outcast, but in reality, we want to shine. We want to stand out. We want to be special. We want to matter, but we also want to fit in, standing out. We want to be okay that we stand out. We want to be accepted and loved just as we are, but we change ourselves to get love and acceptance. How we think others will love us. And what ends up happening is we get out of alignment with our soul and who we truly are.
Yeah, I've suffered a lot trying to be something I'm not.
Yep.
And yeah, that's where most of my suffering comes from.
3 F's.
3 F's. F, I don't know if we can even say it on here. Fart and fractal are the 3. Yeah.
Fart's my favorite word. Every time I want to say an F word, I say fart.
Fart. We'll get it in there.
Start to say fabulous.
Fabulous.
That works too.
I was thinking about the story. The story is so valuable because we all have our story, our version of the world and the way it works and who we are within that. And more than how it works is who we are within it. And so our way of being, that story that we create, can change at any point, whether you're abused or the abuser. It can be turned around because it's not just the victim, it's the perpetrator that can change their story. Everybody has a chance to change their story. And so when we're unconscious to it, this is the challenge, is when we're unconscious and we're just living in it and it's out of our control. And like you're in the shower, just cursing God and you're pissed because you're out. It's not your story to rewrite. Right. You think that. The truth is that is not true. It can be changed at any point. But you're living in a space where I can't change it. I'm the victim. Somebody once said that perfection is the ultimate form of victimness. Like when we try and push for perfection in everything, it's one of those forms of where we show up as a victim because it's got to be perfect. And what you're giving people here, Carrie, regardless of your background, regardless of the story you've been telling, at any point you can stop and change the direction of that story. You can rewrite it.
So perfect. I'll throw in one more thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is control. I have been shaking up Coke bottle for 45 years until I started doing my classes. Man, you just go ahead and pop that lid. I dare you.
Yeah.
And once I got divorced, I like to consider myself what do you call it? A reborn again Leo, because Leos are in control. And I tried to be in control of everything my whole life. And when I got divorced, I realized that was my downfall. That was my issue, is control. I had to be in control of everything. And so when you let go of controlling anything,
Yeah.
now you're ready. I mean, you can't do anything until you let go of that anger. So anyway, back to my story of you. We was right in the middle of our classes. I can't even say that word. You'll have to say it. SG.
Yeah, the sum gigante.
Thank you.
Yep.
So we was right in the middle of it, and I've got issues with my family, and right in the middle of that damn course, I have to have a family reunion. Welcome my past. And so the story was always, oh, there goes Carrie being Carrie again. Well, yeah, that's what I do. And my one sister always has to beat me down. Always. That's her story. She has to beat me down. And so I get there and she starts in. And so my story is, oh my God, well, I have to go through this because this is how my family sees me. My family's angry because of this. My family treats me like this because of that. And the biggest thing I got out of the course was
you can say SG course.
SG, thank you. Thank you. That's easy. Thank you.
Yeah.
So anyway, the biggest thing
I
got.
Bouncing ball.
You do with my conversations.
Right.
So my biggest thing was, oh my God, that's my story. Every single thing is your story. Nothing has to be your story. It's what you want to do with that BS story, you know? And so I'm sitting here and my sister's just pissing me off and my nieces are going off and I'm like, I've had it here. So we're popping the corkscrew. We're going off. So I'm like, okay, you know what we need to do? We just need to take a walk down to the water for a minute. And I'm down in Bear Lake and I'm like, okay, just get some energy, just feel the water, calm down before I kill somebody. And I go,
usually a good outcome when you do that.
Now, I don't look good in orange.
Yeah.
So I thought about it for a minute and I'm like, well, what's my bullshit story? What is going on here that I think I have to stick to this my whole life? And I'm like, is it my whole family that pisses me off? And I'm like, no, it's this sister that sets me off. And so I had to pull myself out for just a minute and say, what's really going on here? No, it's not the whole family, and it's not the story I've been told my whole life. It's this sister, and she loves setting me off. And then after I calmed that part of me down and I started walking away, then I'm like, okay, why does she piss me off? That's the real trigger. I've got to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and
that's kind of it. Like the internal figuring out what's coming up for you. A lot of times we're a mirror.
Exactly. It's always the mirror.
And so we can look and see, okay, why is that? A lot of people would say, why is this happening to me? Or that person's an asshole or whatever. They just, they take it and let it, all the circumstances and all the outside activities dictate how they, and justify why they show up.
Right.
And the way they show up. Versus looking at it that other way, right? We're going internal. It's like, why am I feeling this? Why is this coming up for me? And let's explore that.
Every single thing to me is I want to show people hope. Even if you can't walk, trust me, I've been there. I get it. You can walk again. I just want people to know no matter what's going on in your life. I don't care if you're hooked on some kind of drugs or alcohol or.
What about phonics?
Hooked on phonics. You can be hooked on phonics, but I want to fix
that. We don't care if you're hooked on drugs or phonics.
It doesn't matter. Stop it.
Ryan, that's so dumb. That's such a
Ryan.
I'm sorry.
That's the best.
Dude. That was my inner child.
Yeah.
3X, Ryan. So my thing is, seriously, it's like, I don't care what's going on. Just take just a second and just go within and ask, is this my story? What is this benefiting me? How can I change this, turn it around? what would Nick do?
Either ask what
WWND.
Jesus would do or Nick. One of the two.
What would Nick do?
Yeah, you could say WWGD, except that comes out sometimes the wrong direction.
Right?
What
Yeah.
would GD?
So you know what? It just really, really, really gives me a high in life is when I get to see people in their glory of their story, and I get to stop and ask them, you know what is that teaching you? What is it bringing you? What is the messages that your life is bringing you? What is your body trying to tell you? You know, a lot of people are like, oh no, I've been sick forever and I can't be better, and I'm dragging my leg. And I'm like, I can't feel sorry for you because I get it. You know what? It's all a story. I don't care what's going on. It's all a story. And even if you can't get out of that wheelchair, great. Start making your life better in that wheelchair.
Absolutely. Yeah. We, Jeff Griffin, Brandon Solser, AJ Hunt, you know, paralyzed, Angie Garr Bennett, right? People who've had impacted lives where there is a physical change, and they decide, they make a decision. Like, I am not going to live into the story of poor me. They live into the decision of, I'm going to do something great regardless. I love this. We're going to have a waiver. We are not responsible for the damage of your electronics from spraying coffee. Click this box to continue. Yeah. Anyway, it's the story is so powerful, and we tell it in such a way that it's so damned convincing.
It is. And you telling me that got that into my head. You're like, man, I almost bought that. I'm like, F you, Nick.
Yeah, I've been told to F off a few times actually in our training.
For a minute.
That's my goal, is when you tell me to F off, I know I've hit something. Jesus, Nick.
What's my favorite F word today?
Yeah.
Don't put Carrie on speaker.
Yeah, I had one of our the Sum Gigante participants told me to F off, and then got a chance to really look at it, and it was around rescuing. And it's really challenging. When somebody challenges your story, man, it can be impactful. I've been challenged on my stories, and I've had to step back, and it drops me to my knee basically. And I'm like, yes, how do I want to show up? Do I want to own that story and keep living that? Or do I want to turn things around? Because I've lived the other way. You know, I've been the guy that's not very fun to be around. And so that's a story too. Like, is that how I want to show up in the world? Is that how I want people to experience me? Is that how I want to experience things? That's up to me.
And you know what's funny is if people piss me off, you know what makes me happier than anything is to turn around and be nice to them, because either A, it's going to piss them off more, or B, they're going to turn around and be nice to somebody else and go, God, I'm an asshole. And me letting somebody else know they're an asshole by being nice to them, oh my God, that makes me high.
That's funny. You know, the judgments, because you hit on judgments, because you look at your sister and you think, man, I can't stand being around her. And then you look at your judgments of her, and really what's at play are your judgments, which are the stories you're telling yourself about that situation. I remember my daughter was really struggling with her brother, and she's 9, he's 15, pesters. And she's like, he called me this. And I said, orange peel. And she's like, what? And I said, orange peel. I mean, imagine if he would have called you an orange peel. Would you have felt the same way around this if he said, you're an orange peel? And she sat with that and kind of got it, that we get to decide what things mean. No matter what somebody does, they're going to do them. We get to interpret it.
I love that. That is awesome. You know, Nick, I my thing is trying to connect why we're off our path. Why are we sick? Why are we in dis-ease? Why are we out of alignment? Why is our soul? Because our soul is wanting to do one thing. That's what we came here for. And then our physical, we're stuck in these ruts. Like when it gets muddy and you go out four-wheeling and you keep hitting that slippery, muddy thing, you can't get out of it. Once you keep fighting it, it just digs you in deeper. So I feel like everything that happens in our life is that our soul is trying to be over here, and our body and our mind is going, no, I want to be in the mud. I want to be in the mud. So it's trying to get into alignment with who you truly are and what you came here to be, instead of fighting who you think you are and what society tells you and bouncing the ball. I think also, I don't think it's that we're so worried what everybody else thinks about us, or really what we think about us. I think it's that we're worried about what we think everybody else is thinking about us.
Exactly,
it's our own thought. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. We're not really as worried about that as we think we are. We're worried about
Byron Katie.
If I could say this right, and I don't remember who I stole this from, but I stole it. It's mine.
Yeah. Okay. It's done.
It's done.
Carrie DFWM Tomich.
Yeah, that's it. So it's I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. If you can take that and just really break it down and think about it for a minute, that explains everything.
Carrie, you did that for me. We got down to some of the roots of the issues, right? When we talked about what was true, we did some of the testing.
Right.
And that right there, finding out about the judgments and the stories and what I was believing was true,
right,
wasn't true at all.
Right, exactly.
And it was so simple, such a simple thing, that just somebody pointing that out and saying, hey, is that true?
Right.
Let's test it. Let's find out.
Right. Hey, I have pissed off quite a few of the giants because I see somebody get hurt and I'm on the computer and I'm like, okay, what happened? And they're like,
this is how Nick types.
Oh, I write books.
I'm like, hey, what happened? And they're like, oh, I fell. And I'm like, oh, no, you didn't. What was going on emotionally in your life? And they're like, no, God damn it, I got hurt. And I'm like, no, God damn it, you didn't. So I've gotten some probably 3 Fs too. But then after I explain it, they're like, oh, God, that does make sense. You know, to me, it's like, no matter what physically is going on, and nobody write me nasty letters that, well, I'm in a wheelchair and I can't get up. Yeah, I get that. But no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what the pain is or the illness or the disease, whatever's going on, look back at your life when that started or shortly before that started and ask yourself, what just happened? How did that make me feel? And when did it first happen? Because when you do that, you're going to look back and see where the dis-ease in your life was before anything happened. You know, people tell me all the time, I got in a car accident. And I'm like, no kidding, so did I. That's not my excuse. The car accident was just what needed to happen to pull my head out.
Yeah, I think of a shadow, right? When you shine a light on the shadow, it immediately goes away. Immediately. Right. And we're so afraid of shining the light on our shadows. So they just sit there in the background running, and they can really serve us if we'll let them. I have this tattoo on my arm, the 2 wolves. And the story around it is that whichever one you feed is the one that lives. But my version of that is that you need both. Right. That you need your shadow and your light, because it's that mixture of both that really creates you as you are. And we spend so much time trying to please people. I think of Steve Chandler, who is one of my mentors. By the way, if your name is Steve or Stephanie and you coach, I'll probably be your best client, because all of my mentors are named Steve.
Oh,
or Steven.
Yeah, or seem to be. But Steve Chandler is one of those guys. He said you're either pleasing people or serving. And when you're coming from the space of pleasing, you're not being authentic to who you are. You're just showing up in a way that makes them, quote unquote, approve of you. Right. But it's your version of approval, what you're projecting on them, and then you're judging yourself from that. So I think it's a matter of just being authentically you, owning your shadow side. But like you said, when you shine the light on it, it goes away. As soon as you can wake up, and Ryan, like you said, you look at it and it's almost ridiculous how easy it is that when you shine the energy on it, it goes away. Like Barry McDonough talks about in anxiety. He says, as soon as you bring anxiety to the surface, it loses its power. And
It
it
was
just
like a
dissipates on
physical
its own.
weight too. Like it was weighty. It was
Yeah.
heavy. It was a heavy thing. And when Carrie and I talked about this and kind of kept diving deeper and deeper and deeper, um, we kind of hit the bottom of it, the root. And she asked me some questions about, is this true? Does it feel true for you? Remember that, Carrie, when you
Yeah.
were talking about, hey, does this feel true for you? And I was like, yeah, that feels true.
And
Okay,
it
we
doesn't
found
matter
it.
what
Like,
really is true. It's
yeah,
what you think is truth is the truth.
yes. And so then it was easy from that point to go, well, she asked some questions in a different way and asked me if that was true. I was like, yeah, my parents do love me no matter what. It's not, I don't have to worry about the judgments of others and the judgments of that I think others are thinking. And as I shifted that, like, it was this, I don't know, I go like this because it was just giving it back. Like, I don't need this anymore. This doesn't serve me.
And a little
And
bit of this.
whoop, whoop.
A little bit of
It's
coffee.
like this.
and then I crashed my car.
Hey, Ryan, you want to go for a ride?
I wasn't supposed to do it while I was driving.
And I dropped my phone.
Close your eyes and we're going to test if this is true.
I love the meditation things
Yeah.
because I do not stop learning as I'm driving. I'm listening to things all the time, and then I'll hear this is a meditation. I'm like, probably not.
Do not listen to this while you're driving. Okay, turn it up.
Okay. But Ryan, I won't say too much about your story, but
You can say anything you want about our experience and our story.
Yeah.
Because to me it serves people,
I
and there was
agree.
nothing in there that to me,
okay.
and I appreciate you
Share
guarding that.
Ryan's secrets. Let's
share all my
I'm going to
secrets.
tell Ryan's secrets.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm giving you permission to do that.
And I know people always ask me, why do you tell people these personal things about you? And I'm like, because other people are me. Other people have experienced stuff. And by me sharing, I'm not making a big production over what I've gone through in my life. I'm hoping this gets to be a key for somebody else. But so Ryan didn't have the trauma at home that I had. Ryan had a great childhood, but Ryan had emotional things that he wasn't dealing with, right, Ryan? That was in the subconscious. And so it doesn't have to be some traumatic thing.
I think of Goonies. Tell us everything. Everything?
Everything? And then he goes back and starts from the beginning of his life.
In fifth grade, I took. That's what I'm
Sorry.
picturing right now.
But
that was how it was.
Yeah.
I've talked to a few different people, and like Ryan's traumatic thing was the adoption, and I can imagine the abandonment issue because I know what it felt like for my, I was probably 10 years old and watched my whole family leave and drop me off at school and waving goodbye, and I'm like, so what the F? Who's going to take care of Carrie? What's going to happen? Am I going to eat? Am I going to have a place to go home? And I can imagine Ryan, when you look back and wonder, well, what the crap happened? Why did she not want me? What was wrong with me? I was a beautiful child. And, it doesn't have to be something like being abused. That's a traumatic thing. And I've talked to another girl I did a session on, and her traumatic thing was she had a baby brother. That was the worst thing that happened in her life. But you know what? It was traumatic to her.
What was interesting is that you just said that. It brought up, I had a great conversation with Vanessa, and I tagged her in this because, and if you want to look her up and follow her, she's a great one as well. She talked to me.
Great new book too.
Yeah, she's got a wonderful book, and so we had a conversation about that very thing. Is that because I was almost diminishing it because it was when I was, I was giving up when I was 3 days old. Like it was, it was insignificant or small or tiny because I was small or tiny.
Right.
But the human, the person that I am and was, it was very traumatic to be separated, from my mother. You can see that in the wild when babies are, taken away from or lost from their mom. They cry out. It's
Mhm.
traumatic. They're scared. They're fearful. I didn't put that together. Like I just said, "Oh, well, that happened when I was a kid, so I don't even remember it." And she goes, "Nah." She's like, "I'm not buying that story. Like that was traumatic for you. It was just
Right.
as traumatic as maybe being separated now from your mother. Just you didn't have the voice to say it or to feel it, like you can't remember it because it was so long ago."
Ryan, when I was pregnant with my first daughter, it was ugly being at home. My husband was an alcoholic, and so I would run away and hide as much as I could and go to my friend's house. And when I was at my friend's house, I was, 6 to 9 months pregnant. And honest to God, that child in that womb actually hears what's going on. They hear the trauma in the energy of what's going on in the mother's life, and they hear the voices of what's going on. When my daughter was born, she would look at me when I'd talk, but anybody else that came in the room, she didn't turn her head unless it was when my friend was in the room. So you have this connection to your mother and to her environment when you was in that womb. So there is a bigger connection than what we give it credit for. And there's another thing that's called the boing boing effect. Um, so when you are married or you're in a relationship or mother daughter, mother son, whatever, your energy boings back and forth from the two of you. And so when all of a sudden you don't have that, you're not boinging. Your boing's going all over the place. There's no bouncing back and forth. You know,
There you go to the three F's again.
bam.
I I can't help it, dude. That's where my mind goes.
You're just not boinging.
Nick,
I'm not boinging anymore.
you're not boinging anymore. Either am I. Ryan,
Now I'm blushing.
Yeah.
I'm not shy, so I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
Well,
I need to open up some more liquid sunshine.
I want to talk about this because Carrie, as we look at your journey and everybody that's watching this, we talk about the 12 journeys. And we teach this. This is what we taught to the kids in school, and we teach it in all these different ways. You got it in the SG courses. So the 12 journeys, you go from unconsciousness. You're living your life a certain way. Oh dear God. Sorry, Melissa. You're going through life an unconscious way automatically, right?
Right.
And then you have an awareness. You wake up to it. And then in that awareness, there's some grief around the third journey, grief around what is not. And so the ideal of what should be. And then you go into acceptance, which is the realization that it is what it is. And so you got to learn to either move forward or, just let it be what it is. And then you go into gratitude, uncertainty, and vision. And then in that, you create a new way of being. So you rewrite your story. And then you surrender that story and you nurture it in a way that as things come along and possibilities come along, you act on those.
Right.
And when you nurture it, you pull from the abundance. You're not having to create things to create it. You're transforming them from the way that they are to a new way of being. And then you keep yourself feeling good through the whole thing. And then you learn to give back just like you are. You're giving back. And those are the 12 journeys. And I see every one of those in your process. I see every one of those in what you described with Ryan and rewriting his story.
Right.
We all go through the 12 journeys. And it's so powerful because when you're aware of what's at play, you can change it.
Right.
Unless you're aware, you can't change a damn thing.
Nope. I'll ask people. I'm doing this whole dating thing. You get it, Nick.
I don't get it the way you get it. Yeah, never mind. That's funny. Anyway, keep going.
Anyway, I've met some interesting people, and so I don't know how, but we attract what, the whole mirror thing. And I've met some people that's got some pretty big diseases and pretty big illnesses. And I'm sorry, but I'm here for a purpose. And if you're in my life, you're getting the purpose whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
And, I had one guy that was such a nice guy, and he had what my mom died from. I ain't dating you. he had Parkinson's, and I knew that dementia is following soon after. And I'm like, you know what? I love you to death, son, but it ain't going to happen. And so I'm like, but I'd be glad to help you. Can I tell you what's going on? And he's like, what do you mean? I don't want you to tell me about my personal stuff. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. But would you like to work on healing? And he goes, oh, there's a way to heal it? And I'm like, well, let's go back to when did it start? And he's like, well, it was when my wife was cheating on me. Well, if you look back, everything goes back to something that's going on in your life. Your body is giving you messages. And so when I gave him that, then he had something more to work on.
Yeah, it's crazy that everybody is seeking. I think most people are seeking that. They want to change. Like when they're in that space and they're aware of it, they want to shift it.
Right.
And so then it's just a matter of getting the tools to shift it. Because
Right.
then you can do the work. Sometimes we have the awareness, but we don't have the tools, and it's really challenging
Right.
because now you're aware and awake to it, but you can't
Right.
do anything about it. And so our whole purpose with the Giants is to give people tools.
Right.
Like, I don't want to just teach you information and have you be a knowledgeable idiot.
Right.
Like, I want you to be out there and take this and apply it to where you can just go out. Like, that's where they say understanding is the booby prize of life. When you know
Right.
something, you think you know it, and then you don't do anything about it. That's
Right.
the booby prize, right?
Right.
It's not the Boeing prize. It's a little different.
Boing, boing,
Boing
boing,
and
boing,
X.
boing, boing, boing.
But that
it's-
understanding with the tools creates powerful change in your life. That's where
You
you
know-
really transform things.
It is. And, it's funny. Me and one of my friends that also does healing, we call each other a tool. You're such a tool, because it's like you are a tool to help other people. You are a tool to help yourself. But you know what? Just because we have some of these tools, we still need to reach out to other people to help us with that information. I mean, I am a tool. I have this information. I should be able to help myself, but I can't see my own mirror. Like
That's another
Nick set
great
me
quote.
off was
I'm a
my
tool.
mirror.
I'm a tool.
I'm a tool. Giants and smalls. I'm a tool and I'm a giant.
I'm
Yeah,
a giant tool.
Yeah. I
And
love
I've
it.
got engraved on it 3 Fs.
Yeah, right. 3F, triple F. Carrie, you have a phenomenal journey. How do people get in touch with you? Do you have a website? Do you have an email, Facebook? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
The best way is probably just through Facebook. I've got my phone number on there. I have my regular page. It's Carrie Tomich on Facebook. And I got rid of my website. I thought that was a waste of my time and energy, and it wasn't producing what I needed it to.
Yeah.
So my business page is Soul Connections, and it's connecting mind, body, and soul.
And that's on Facebook pages, Soul
Also,
Connections.
yes.
I want to put that up here because somebody might want to have a conversation with you after this,
Oh God, everybody's going to want to.
Not somebody, everybody.
Everybody, who wouldn't want to talk to me?
Yeah, I love it.
I don't know. I can't think of anyone that would.
Hey, I'll tell you
After
what,
this
whether you want
episode,
to or
the
not,
whole world
I'll
will
be down
know.
the street, you're going to be talking to me,
Yeah.
or you're getting a hug. Pick your battle.
Talk to me, or you're getting a hug, mister.
And if not, if you've got a dog, I'll hug your dog.
Yeah. So let me
It's
ask
going
you one more.
down. I don't care.
That's right.
Yeah. So one more piece of wisdom. So if you were able to go back in time and visit with yourself before everything and share and impart just one piece of wisdom that you could carry forward, and this might be for somebody else as well, but if you could think of one thing that you would share with yourself for the journey, what would you share?
I don't know that I would change anything, because as crappy as some things seem, I don't think I'd do that. But they have brought me to where I'm at, and they've given me my free college education.
Yeah.
But I think that the biggest thing, and I've thought about this a lot, is I would go back and tell me, hold on, have faith. There's an answer out there. Something has a key to help you. And Nick, when I go back, because I believe this, everything's synchronicity. Everything happens. We're at the same time throughout, different times in our life. And I do feel like there was somebody there telling me, hang on, there's faith. And, it could have been my now self coming back there and telling me, hang on, it's going to be okay. You're an amazing person, even though you don't think so. Just have faith and love yourself and look for that help. Reach out, grab somebody, grab something, just reach for that branch and somebody will be out there helping you. And if you can't find that person right now, give me a call. I don't care what's going on in your life. If you just need a text to say, hey, I need some help, I'll give it to you. You know, reach out to God, reach out to the universe, go up to the mountain, sit by the creek. You know, if you can't get out, you know, just turn that stupid TV off and just go inside your head and find the love of you and your higher power and what you came here for.
Beautiful.
I'll testify that she will, even if you don't reach out to her, she might reach out to you and come unsolicited. And then here we go. We're doing this.
Ding,
You don't know how many
ding,
people
ding.
Yeah.
Boing,
Hug,
boing.
hug, boing.
That's another shirt right there. Hug, boing, ding.
You don't know how many people on Facebook has gotten a text from me going, hey, I see something in a past life and I need to help you through it. They're like, who the fuck? And we end up being best friends.
Yeah. I love it. Ryan, do you have some additional thoughts? What
Carrie,
do you
you
think?
make a best friend, and I guarantee you there's a lot of people out there that feel that you
Thank
are
you.
a best friend because of the way that you show up and the way that you are and the way that
Thank you.
that you be.
And
You're
you as
welcome.
well.
And you know, I in one of the darkest moments in my life, when this spot where I didn't know where I was, like who I was exactly. You know, there was a lot of confusion and worry and doubt and just felt like I mean, just lost. And a text message on Messenger comes through from Carrie. Said, "Hey, I felt this. You know, let's have a conversation." And I'll tell you what, that moment right there absolutely changed my life and my direction and who I recognized who I really am. And once I was able to see that and see the person that you saw, you know, which I talk about it a lot, and I can see it a lot in others, but I couldn't see it in myself, which is the craziest thing. And you saw it, and so I appreciate that. For that, I'll always be eternally grateful, and can't wait to give you a hug in person. So
Me neither.
yeah,
I'm honored that
I'm
I
gonna
got to
drive with
be
you.
that person.
I'm gonna hug you.
I said I'm not going to drive with you, but I will hug you.
Oh, you're going in a car with me.
Yeah.
Just teasing you.
Click.
I would drive with you. I
Yeah.
trust you.
I
All the
am
doors
honored that I got to be that part in your life.
Yeah, that's
Means a lot.
awesome.
Thank you.
Carrie, thank you so much. This
Thank
has
you.
been an adventure. For those that have watched, you know, there's so many nuggets hidden throughout this whole conversation. Every one of our conversations, this is episode 94.
It's 111 too.
And it's 111. And we're going to go blow past that here for the show. But usually most of our shows end right around there, which is awesome. But 94 episodes like this, different stories, different backgrounds, people coming and sharing their journeys with us. And what I think it does is it just gives you all these perspectives and possibilities. That's all it is possibilities of ways to be.
Yes.
And that's what you offer is, man, regardless of what you experienced in your past, you have a chance to change it at any point.
Yep.
And I think that's beautiful. And that's our whole message too.
And one other note is my thing is LOL, live out loud and live on purpose.
Yeah, I like it. LOP, lop that.
Just lop it.
Lop it. Bing, boing, boing.
Boing, boing. And with that, everybody, thanks for being.
Go out there and boing yourself.
And make it a giant day.
Yeah, make it a giant day. Guys, we will see you on the next episode. Thanks for being on here with us. If you haven't subscribed to YouTube, please do that. Make sure you're sharing it because that really helps us out.
Or maybe we lost them.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys for being on here. We'll see you in the next episode.
Love you too.
Bye.